not the only people that experience it, that reserve stable. I'm not supposed we picked it up, and that's the only picked it up from Greek people, Greek speaking people that, you know, had like probation line or they had groups, you know. These guys would follow those vegetables and everything. Well, it's true, because when, Greece was under Turkish rule for, I don't know, 400 years. Yeah, from what I remember. And, in 1929, the Turkish people, any people that lived in Turkey, they sent them back to Greece. So a lot of them were sent and rid of Greece was Macedonia. And a lot of these people married Macedonians, and so they sort of mixed the cultures, yeah, like with eating and then planting vegetables, whatever, you know. Good idea, it might run out. It might run out, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's, Sonia, this is everywhere. It's everywhere, and you see, people don't learn from this.
Do you want me to start, Peter, or should I just tell you more?
No, it's just that the camera angle, I just want to get more.
Is your letters collection? What is it? What is it?
Uses my phone.
Check the school back.
Okay.
Check 1, 2. So this is on.
Was it start?
Okay. Okay.
Why is it?
Nice to meet you.
So as a result, how many days? When I speak to someone, I have to think and find the words. The sentence, but it's still good, it just that doesn't come as fast. Because the album was.
Yeah.
I've been back to my friend, I gave it 56, so. We went twice, once with just my husband and I. Then we went with all the children.
Absolutely.
And then I went one time.
Yeah, I don't need it one time. Don't remind, but I don't.
Do you remember? Something's changed. Well, I haven't been since '94. There's nobody around but me. So, nothing calls me to go to work. There's no love for you anymore. Make sure you remember me. Not close.
So he's the one who played.
Yeah.
We were we all,
I worked for 7 years. And there were many Hungarians coming. Revolution, that's why. Yeah. But no, they were 66.
oh, yeah.
You just push that button. Put it up. Okay, it's not gonna be any feedback. Mine is shot now. Oh,
Yeah, you are.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see all of you, as always. Welcome to the third edition of our seminar for the MyMS family. Today, we have three incredible speakers. We have a representative from Toronto Rehab, as well as being a board member of MyMS family, Brigitt Degues. She'll be speaking on the symptoms of MS, and we have two incredible speakers from CHATS, York Region, Simcoe County. We have Juanita Butler, and just waiting for Hillary Richardson to show up. But I just want to fill you in on what we have accomplished in the last year and a half. My MS family, we're in overdrive and we're sitting on rockets right now. We have accomplished so much in the last year and a half that we have fulfilled our contractual agreements with West Park Hospital that just named their rehabilitation activity room the MyMS Family Activity Room. We're very proud of that, and we're going to continue our funding. We have funded extreme rehabilitation programs at Sunnybrook Hospital, the MS Clinic for Dr. Lee, as well as with Dr. Bruno and with Brigitt at Toronto Rehab. And finally, we're actually sponsoring the Children's Summer Camp at the Ability Center in Whitby. And these are for children with debilitating diseases. And we think that was a worthy cause for us to get involved in that. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker from Toronto Rehab and a board member of the MyMS family, Brigitt Degues.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and hello to those online. I hope everyone could hear me. So I'm being very transparent. I am very nervous right now, so I'm going to try and think of this as we're all sitting around as family and we're just talking. So I hope you will enjoy the next hour. So the topic is MS and our emotional roller coaster. So I want to just say a few things before we start. If I say anything in the next hour that maybe triggers you or upsets you, or you want more information, I'm here for the afternoon. Okay, so pull me aside, ask me for clarification, or ask me or talk to me. Okay, because it can be triggering. It's a very big topic, and I try to keep it sort of general as much as I can. If you can't hear me, shout, let me know. So let's get started. So yeah, my name's Brigitt. And Danny has given me this handy dandy little doohickey which is really exciting because I'm not tech savvy at all. And so what are our objectives for today? I really hope that we can all go away today after having a greater understanding of MS and emotions. It's probably the one area in people's lives that I see that goes underdiagnosed and not identified. Okay, so I hope that is something we can learn today together. Also recognize your own emotional responses. Everyone is different. Everyone copes differently, but maybe you could also think about, hey, maybe that's happening to me as well. Feel more comfortable talking about emotions. A lot of people don't like to talk about how they feel. They will focus on more obvious things, but when we talk about how we feel, it's just not an area that a lot of people enjoy, and for many reasons. And finally, at the end of this presentation, we are going to talk about some strategies, as well as what resources are out there in the community that you can continue your emotional journey. There's no recovery, but there is management. There is, how do I keep myself happy and safe? Those are all important. A little bit about just who I am. I'll do 2 seconds. So I'll try to do 2 seconds. I am a social worker, and I have been working with families, individuals, and couples. I'm aging myself for over 30 years. Okay. And generally, I have always worked with individuals who are impacted by MS, an acquired brain injury, or stroke, or some neurological impact. Okay. Right now, I do work at Toronto Rehab, and I am part of a great team of therapists. We have, as you all know, Dr. Bruno. We have occupational therapists, speech therapists, physiotherapists. And I'm just a member of that team as well. As a social worker at Rumsey, I do 2 things. One is counseling, and 2 is I link people to resources. And as someone kindly said to me today, and if I can't find it, if I don't know it, I'll find it. Okay? I'm a member in good standing. I am a college, I'm registered with the college, and there's no conflict of interest in my presentation today. Okay, so let's get started. I'm pretty sure that I don't have to spend a lot of time on this one because most of you can tell me what MS is. Okay? But I thought it would be important, just as a reminder, that it is a potentially disabling disease of the brain and spinal cord. And we know that it impacts the myelin sheath, and it impacts how our brain connects and communicates to the other parts of our bodies. We also know that MS can impact many areas, from vision to hearing to taste to touch, mobility, balance, and everyone is different. Okay? So I think most people are familiar with those symptoms that they can see. The mobility, walking, fatigue, although you can't see, yeah, you kind of can see fatigue, but not a lot. Pain, and some cognitive changes. Really important, everyone is different. Okay, I get a lot of people come into the office, and I don't ask them to tell me about their MS, but I want to know who they are first, and then tell me how it's impacted you. And everyone is different. Emotional changes and mental health can, in fact, be just as disabling, if not more. Because the degree of depression does not equal the severity of the disability. Okay? MS is a complex psychological issue. Adjusting to MS requires understanding and addressing a number of issues, not only the physical ones. Okay? So before I start scrolling down, this is why this is so amazing, Danny, I have to tell you, because I had set it up in such a way, and I thought, I don't even know how I'm going to do this, but this will help me, which is great. Before we come up with the answers, just to kind of keep it a little interactive, why is it important to talk about emotions? Any ideas? And there's no right or wrong. Juanita?
It reduces the stress on the body.
Right. Good. Actually, I think that's the first one I have.
I got one. From jumping off a bridge.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. Because when you keep internalizing those emotions, something's going to happen. So to Juanita's point, oh, sorry, just I don't, is it Hillary? Hillary, okay. Yeah, so emotions does trigger a response in the body. Positive emotions decrease the stress response, and more intense emotions increase the stress response.
Can you give an example of a positive emotion?
Sure, yeah. If you do you want to do that now, or do you want to hold on? Yeah.
Just trying to think of something positive.
Oh, well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because as I was putting this together, I thought, man, people are going to ask me, where are those positive emotions? And there are. Maybe not right away, but there are. Emotions give meaning to events. Okay, so Juanita, you wanted to add something to this. I mean, Hillary, you wanted to add something to this.
Well, I'm glad you said emotions. I fully embrace that concept, but I also know that emotions impact relationships.
Yes. And that,
Relationships are very important in terms of well-being.
absolutely. And in fact, even though this is about MS and emotions, families have a very dear, special spot for me. And so there is discussion around how it impacts those who love the people who have MS, because it affects everyone. Absolutely. Emotions influence how we think. Is it Costa? So to your point about jumping off, sort of those negative thoughts. But emotions influence how we think, how we make decisions, and how we solve problems. Emotions, though, in terms of relationships, allow us to empathize with others and perhaps share in other people's joy and pain. Why is it important to discuss emotions? It's sort of very similar to, yes? It's a relationship, yeah. It is about relationships. Also, emotions signal that something needs to be addressed. If you're angry all the time, you need to start asking yourself, what's going on? Right? If you tend to ignore emotions or not deal with them, it can impact your mental health. Chronic sadness, anger, or fear can lead to depression. And it's not, I see it quite often. People that's not what I want to talk about. Or their eyes get watery and they'll just say, I'm not ready. Emotions have a profound effect on our overall health and wellness. I wanted to add this about optimism. We know that optimism and hope can contribute to emotional well-being. But sometimes only engaging in positive thinking can cause what's called toxic positivity. And it can lead to unrealistic expectations and an inability to really feel negative emotions. Let me give you an example. Sometimes those living with MS are surrounded by great people. And sometimes family members like, yeah, you can do it. Don't worry. Yeah, just give it your best. You could do it. Walk that extra mile, or, stay up a little longer. And that's what people identify as toxic positivity. It's unrealistic. I know family, friends are just really trying to do their best. But unfortunately, it has the reverse effect. Okay, so yeah, emotions and MS, it does start in the brain. And so the next, I want to focus on this one. There's two really important issues when discussing MS and emotions. One is, depending on where the lesions are, MS can change your brain. If you have lesions in certain parts of the brain that deal with emotions and memory, you may have some changes in how you identify and how you express emotions. Okay? It's actually called the limbic system or the hippocampus. The other part is sometimes due to increased inflammation, that can also cause depression. So one, it's really important to remember that sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes if your emotions are at the surface, right, and you find yourself crying and you're like, that was never me before, or laughing and you're thinking, that's not appropriate, why am I laughing? You may have to talk to someone because it may in fact be related to where the lesions might be, okay? And the second part is our emotions are impacted by our experience, okay? Any questions so far? Are we okay? Feels very serious. I know it's a bit of a serious topic, but yes.
A few times I asked my neurologist about my lesions, and he said, Sonia, it's not important. The MRI showed that you have the lesions, that means you have MS. But I said, is the position of it, or the number of it, or if I have new ones, if it's affecting me? And he said, don't worry about it. But now I feel like you gave me a reason to go back and question the position.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I really do think you need to know where the lesions potentially, or like where they are, because it does explain a lot. You know, if we think about the brain and we think about all the parts of the brain and the things that the brain does, like it helps us with problem solving and memory and executive functioning. If you have lesions in certain parts of the brain, you may find yourself not problem solving as well as you used to. Or you might think, why am I forgetting this? Personally, my perspective, Sonia, is that I think it is important to know where the lesions are. Yes.
Why doesn't the neurologist explain this to us? I've been going to one for
Yeah.
25 years. No one has mentioned anything.
Yeah. And I don't know what to say. I really don't. I know that my years of experience in working, especially initially with people who have experienced a traumatic brain injury, the first thing we always talk about is your brain and what it does and where it's been affected. So I can't really answer that. I don't know. Yeah. And maybe it's, yeah, I don't know if I really don't have an answer to that. I mean, it may depend on the neurologist as well, right? So emotions can provoke many emotions, okay? And we're going to go through some of these. Let's talk about anxiety. Again, I'm sure if I all asked you, what is anxiety? What can you tell me? It's a terrible feeling, yeah. What kind of feeling do you get when you get anxious? Did you get fear, butterflies in the stomach, heart palpitations, heart racing, dry mouth, like me right now? You're absolutely right. Anxiety, fear. Do you have your hand up? No? Okay. Yeah, so let me just take a drink. Any other thoughts around anxiety? What was that? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what you said there, but okay. That's what I thought he said, but I'm just going to ignore it. Okay. Anxiety does occur 3 times more in people who have MS. And we're going to break it down even more. Hillary.
I've noticed and observed it and experienced anxiety.
Yes. So Hillary's saying she's noticed and experienced it to be crippling. Yeah, it can. You know, all of our emotions, I always think of them on a spectrum, like on a continuum. Anxiety is a survival mechanism. You know, sometimes you're going down maybe an alleyway or something, and all of a sudden the hairs on your neck go up and you think, who's behind me? That's survival. But when it becomes crippling, there's nothing in your environment that scares you, but suddenly you have these thoughts and these feelings. So all of our emotions on a continuum, they're helpful, but to an extreme, they can really just cause us to freeze. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. Depression. Any comments on depression? What is depression? Sadness. That's right. There's a heavy feeling to depression. Anxiety, sometimes you have that fidgety, you can't sit still, or you start to develop different habits. With depression, it's kind of a little bit of the opposite. There's a heaviness, there's a sadness. It lasts a long time. Both anxiety and depression can, in fact, worsen our cognition, how we think, our pain, and our fatigue. And you're going to see, as we keep talking about all of these emotions, sometimes like, well, how do you draw the line between what's pain and what's fatigue and what's emotion? It's not easy. There are strategies, but you'll see how a lot of these emotions are impacted by a number of things. Okay, so let's just talk about just other common emotional changes. Big one here, grief and loss. Any thoughts about that one? Can anybody relate to grief and loss?
Yeah, that starts when you're diagnosed with MS. Steady grief till you die.
Well, I hope that it's not a steady grief. That's what we're aiming for. There is grief because there is loss and there is change.
Loss of job, loss of spouse, loss of health, loss of walk.
Yeah,
If I
yeah.
can't run, I'll walk. If I can't walk, I'll crawl.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's very interesting that you say that, because our how we cope, it's different for everybody, and it depends on where your focus is. But we're going to keep that in mind. Sorry, Hillary, you were going to say Juanita. Okay, can I just interchange you with names? Is that a problem? Juanita, sorry. Point. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So and it can. I guess what I really want to get the message across is that MS can impact friends and families. You can be isolated, but I've also seen where it's not the case. And so how do we maintain our network of support is really important. I know at Rumsey, when I work with people who have MS, ABI, I always say to them, who's your support network? Who's your family? Who's your friend? Can you ask them to come in? Because when you leave our program, who's going to be there for you? It's not going to be your PSW. It's not going to be your neurologist. It's not going to be your OT. Who's in your support network? And it's so important to have people to attend these programs with you so we can talk about how they are coping and how are they helping and what kind of help do they need. So we're going to talk about that as we get into relationships. There's worry, moodiness, irritability. Sometimes at the beginning, you might have a sense of relief because you've been struggling for so long. You know something's wrong, but what's happening to me? It's not the greatest thing to have a diagnosis of MS, but when you finally get some answers, there is a moment of relief. It's like, okay, this is what I got. But you also may feel numb, like this can't be happening. I just can't believe this is happening to me. Feelings around, I added this because people do feel at times that they are discriminated against, and there's a stigma to having a disability. I know today in our world, we're trying to make everything accessible. We're trying to be careful about the words we use, which is all really important. But sometimes people do experience being treated differently because of possibly the walking a particular way or having to use a mobility aid. And stress. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of the Inside Out movie. So please watch it if you can. It's not for children only. So I have watched it. So other emotions associated with MS, anger, frustration, fear. We will get to some positive ones. Annoyed, agitated, rage, sadness, loneliness, tired, all of the above. This is a huge one for people who are impacted by disability. There's a change in self-esteem and self-image. I'm just not the same person I used to be.
That's why all these superstars overdose, because they're not the person they used to be. So
Yeah.
Michael Jackson dies.
Yeah.
Who else dies? Prince dies. All these stars.
Yeah.
overdose. They're not who they used to be.
And it is, I mean, in the unpredictable nature of MS, it is an unwelcome reminder of the changes or losses. And part of the work we do at Rumsey is, how do we develop a new I? What are the strengths I have? Who am I today? What brings me value is not the fact that I am walking or I'm using a wheelchair. I worked with this gentleman, and I don't know if he's online, but I won't mention his name, who thought he had no value. So we talked about it. What gives a person value? And the things he talked about were sense of humor, compassion, love, the ability to receive love, worthiness. What were some of the other ones? The ability to communicate. There wasn't one thing on that list that had to do with ability. What makes me worthwhile? And that's where the focus has to be. And we'll talk a little bit about that. That's part of the counseling. Sometimes there's, and I also like cats, so I didn't have any pictures of my kids, so I got cats. I hope that's okay. Shame. Sometimes people think there's something wrong with me. MS is not about there being something faulty about you as a person. Guilt, the impact that this is having on those around me. Denial. I do not have MS. And I've had people say to me, and I will live my life as if I don't have it. Unfortunately, the consequences you can't deny the consequences of living in denial and hopelessness.
Can't deny the consequences of living on drugs.
That's right, same thing.
Sometimes you gotta meditate, take yourself out of
Right.
your body, and bring yourself back in as a different
Right.
person. That person coming back in doesn't have MS. So maybe you could cure yourself, because the brain is a powerful thing.
Well, yeah, I do believe our brains are powerful, but can you cure yourself? I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, Costa.
That's the only
Not sure.
That's the only thing you can do, you gotta cure yourself, because these drugs are really sure. You gotta cure yourself.
Yeah, and I'm not, yeah. Right. Unfortunately, I can't speak to that. I'm just going to speak to the things that I know have worked with people. And we've talked about, sorry.
Where does confusion come into it?
Confusion may be part of cognition, depending on if you like confusion in terms of forgetting things and confusion in terms of feeling overwhelmed. I would say it can be emotional, but it can also be cognitive, how we're thinking, possibly fatigue. So confusion can be caused by our brain's inability to process things the same way. So we need to sort of take one thing at a time. Now, I see you, Juanita. There we go. The other important part about emotions, and I actually had this in my slide presentation, and then I took it out because I thought, I'm going to have you guys here until tonight. And so, but in fact, when we are in a state of confusion or anxiety, or we're really like agitated, we're in a hyper aroused place. When we're depressed and when we're sad, we're in a hypo-aroused place. When you're in one of those extremes, you can't process anything. your brain actually says, okay, you don't need the frontal part of my brain, so we're going to shut it down. And you can't process information, you'll be overwhelmed, you'll be confused. And so part of counseling that we do, as well as the occupational therapists, is we try to get people into what's called the window of tolerance. Because when you start to breathe, when you start to calm down, you actually now start to activate the part of the brain that you need to problem solve, to make decisions. Because the brain is connected to how we feel. You can't separate the two. Our body remembers, our brain remembers. So when you are anxious and when you're hyper aroused, the frontal part of your brain just kind of says, we're not needed right now. And you stay in the state of survival, hyper aroused. I'm confused, I'm agitated. And there is a lot of evidence to support that when we even do 3 minutes of breathing, we can actually start to activate the front part of the brain. Sorry, does that answer your question, Peter?
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Juanita?
And also, as with, if you're in agreement with this, as with all autoimmune, there's something that occurs that brain fog.
Yes,
So, and that's often confused with confusion.
yeah,
But it's just brain fog. The brain is thinking, but your mouth can't bring out what the brain.
that's right. Yeah. You know, the brain is, as Costa said, it's remarkable because if you were, your intellect is there, but the brain just can't pull it out. And so you're tired, you're overwhelmed, you're in pain, you have fatigue. Right. But you can't get it out. That's right. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that contribute to mood, poor sleep. And I think this applies to everybody. You don't have to have MS for this. When you don't sleep well, you don't function. For those of us who have been parents in the past, those 2 in the morning feedings or 5 o'clock or any, bad night's sleep does not work well the next day. Pain. It's hard to think things through when you're in pain. Eating habits. I know that there's a lot of things out there about MS diets. Personally, for me, I just think it's about just be healthy. Watch what you eat. Monitor what you eat. Physical issues. Sometimes it's side effects from medication. Relationships. They can be triggers to some depression and anxiety and frustration. Social isolation. Alcohol or drug use. Financial concerns. Housing concerns. And possibly when we need to start using PSW support. All of those, and those are, believe it or not, to some extent, things that we can target. These are the things that we actually have some control over. When do I go to sleep at night? What patterns have what routines do I have? Am I drinking? Am I spending too much? What are the financial, what am I supposed to be doing differently? I know it doesn't feel that these are in our control, but in fact, these are the things that we target. If I have someone coming into my office and they're feeling depressed or sad and they have no place to live, we don't start talking about emotions. We start talking about where are we going to live? And how do we apply for some support? Because those things are real and they do impact mood. But we can do something about these things. Okay? Are we okay? Deep breath? We're okay? Okay. Impact on relationships. This one is very dear to me because, like I said before, people come to Rumsey, and when they leave Rumsey, I want to know who's going to be there for you. And there's a lot of relationships. Family. We got parents, grandparents, nephews, nieces, husbands, wives, children's friends, work colleagues, and other relationships. And sometimes there is nobody. So how do we change that? How do we?
Even if you have talk to my children, really. Like, I don't want to burden them with how I feel.
And there it is, right? And I think there's a balance. I don't think it's an all or nothing, but I do want to say that sometimes you don't want to talk about MS all the time. I think you need a break. I think you and family need to just enjoy each other. But what you just said right now, and I can't remember your name, Mary, I think it's something that a lot of people with MS feel. I don't want to burden my family. So and I think, again, I think there's a balance. I don't believe it has to be an all or nothing. Louise.
Through the years, when I have spinal cord injuries, the impact is just the same. What I brought up to the CI community was to have the peer support for children, because I was really worried about my kids.
Yes.
Not fully understanding what was going through, what I was dealing with, and how they didn't know what to say, because they
Right.
didn't have the tools that they were younger. And also spouses at the time, that was really important.
Huge.
And having that kind of, and I was glad to say they put that in place after we did peer support for siblings, we did peer
Yeah.
support for spouses, and that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And how I know that is that we became peer mentors over the years, and my husband, who had a lot of difficulty at the time comprehending the whole thing, dealing with everything we talked about with family, with friends, and
Yeah.
stigma, but along with it, all of a sudden his wife's in a wheelchair, so going through that himself, and then all of a sudden, I saw him one day. I was asked to do peer support with a young lady, and her husband was there. We went to the rehab, and I just noticed that her husband was a little off, and I just said, why don't you, I said, well, I have to show you something, so I kind of took her, and we went off, and I just said, I only wanted them to, my husband said to me, the minute we had left, he said, how did you handle this, how'd you do that, because it was just so built up.
Yeah.
And you did, because I have no one to relate this to.
Yeah.
Because none of my friends understand, my family
That's
doesn't
right.
understand. Because how do I relate this? And it's more of an impact to our family.
It is.
It happens to us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that's really vital.
I think it's really vital. And the caregiver, like if it's a husband or a wife, if it's, depending on the relationship, absolutely, there's so much to maintaining relationships. And it is important to talk about. Sometimes we make an assumption that our families don't want to talk about it because, we don't want to be a burden. And this may not be you, Mary, but some of the families that I've worked with don't want to talk about MS because there's a sense of shame. So there's a secret. And I think that we make assumptions that we don't want to talk to our families because we don't want to burden them. But you know what? I guarantee you, your family's like, I don't know what to say. Sometimes you need to start the conversation. You need to say, look, I only want 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but I need to talk to you about something. Do you have any questions about what I'm going through? Start the conversation. It's very important. Yeah. Oh, yes, Randy.
As a caregiver,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You talk about families. Ben's had MS since 1991.
Wow.
The family say, well, I go, well, can I help out? I'm a caregiver. Who are you a caregiver? Or they just totally don't understand.
Yeah.
Ben's got a walker. She's in pain all the time.
Yeah.
And they just, like when she got hit by a car, can we take her out, get her nails done? Well, I don't think she can move to go.
Wow.
And they just don't understand.
No. And, and I don't want to underestimate the issue by just saying education, because that is one step of it. I mean, again, it's involving family members to give them the information they need. Sometimes they don't get it. You know, I mean, I've had husbands and wives in the office. It's like, well, why can she do that one day and then the next day she can't? Right? You know, one day she's out going with her friends and now it's the next day she can't do the dishes. What's going on? Unfortunately, those are some of the conversations that we have to have. Again, family is so important, and family can mean the hairstylist. It can mean your friend down the street. It can mean a number of people, but it is important to talk about it, to advocate for yourself. And it is difficult because people won't always see it, right? So as we are all saying, MS does affect family because they're the ones who care about you, right? Families also experience fear, guilt, denial, anxiety, as they also try to adapt to life with MS. They may not have the MS, but they are living with someone who has it. And so for family members, there's also this sense of, this is not what we were hoping for. We're retired now. Our plan was we were going to travel, and now we can't. Oftentimes, they're also worried about the future. How do I handle this? What do I do? They may be confused about their roles and responsibilities. What you were doing prior to the MS, maybe you were the person taking care of the garden. Maybe you saw yourself as a provider. Maybe you saw yourself as a financial provider. Intimacy changes. And suddenly all those things change. The worst thing is not to talk about it. It requires, oh, yes, Peter.
Brigitt, you also think that the blame game comes into it?
It can. And now, what do you mean the blame game? Let's make sure we're all.
What did you do to get MS?
Oh, right. Oh, yes. Yeah,
I hear that a lot. It's also being brought towards me too.
that's right. Yeah.
Like, what did you do? Did you do this? Did you do that back then? Or, and the neurologists don't know. How can you answer?
That's right. And the neurologists don't know why you have it. Your spouses may be so confused, so angry that they're trying to find an answer. Because there's a lot of material out there around genetics and environment and diet and trauma, absolutely. But there's no definite, this is causing MS. And it requires, again, I do need to say one thing. Prior to MS, all couples functioned a particular way, and all families functioned a particular way. And sometimes there are good ways that they're functioning and they had a healthy relationship, or maybe, there were a few things that were on the rocks and maybe not so good. MS is really the straw that breaks the camel's back. If your relationship was fairly strong prior to MS, it'll be challenged, but you will still be with your partner. That's been my experience. But if your relationship was not strong before, I can almost guarantee you that there's going to be real issues afterwards. Because I do work with couples who say, yeah, we had communication issues before. MS is making it worse, but we always had communication issues. And I think when people blame, if you weren't here at that time and you didn't get injured, or if you looked, my brother-in-law had a spinal cord injury, and I'm sure the discussion was, hey, if you had looked in the lake before you went in, you wouldn't have broken your neck. No one expects these things, but yeah, we try to find an answer, and the hardest thing is sometimes there's no answer. For divorce and I'm sure there is. I know that in the world of acquired brain injury, and I apologize in terms of gender for those who are male in here, but generally in the field of acquired brain injury, if it was a male, like husband and wife or husband and husband relationship, depending on the relationship, generally men tend to exit when their wives have become injured. Now, that's in the ABI world. I can't comment on the MS world.
I can support this. I'm a member of your support group for over 20 years, 25 years. This is exactly what I see over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
The wives, they stay.
Yeah.
They feed their partner. They
Yeah.
take care of the partner, but many husbands leave.
Yeah.
Except mine.
Ivan, yes.
I think we should,
Oh, okay.
if you could please repeat questions from the audience.
Okay. Okay, will do. Do you want me to repeat what your lovely wife just said? It's about you, Ivan. Oh, generally what we're saying is some research is showing that in couples, the men tend to leave the relationship before women do. So if it's the female who's had the injury, let's say an acquired brain injury, the men tend to, there's a higher incident of men leaving, versus if it's the male with the brain injury, that generally the female tends to stay. I don't have the stats for the MS population or spinal cord injury. I don't know.
They said to me, be prepared, he's gonna walk.
Wow.
I said, what? He goes, yes, be prepared. Because 99% of men need things. And I said, my husband would never do that to me.
Yeah.
And he just smiled at me. And
That's, yeah.
of course, it puts your
Absolutely.
relationship to the test,
Mm-hmm.
way above and beyond whatever. But
Imagine.
exactly what you said. If you have a solid relationship before,
Yeah.
you know, you have a good chance. But I saw that in rehab, as Sonia said, she
Yeah.
saw it over and over again.
Yeah.
It broke her heart.
Yeah. It really does impact. I mean, and that's why it's not, I mean, it's a topic I think we could spend all day talking about, because family, relationships, intimacy, sexuality, all those things are so important and they're not talked about. But it's important because we need to find ways to keep families, friends together. Yeah, so certainly, so what do we do? Let's see if we can, I realize the time and I apologize, Peter. So when do we reach out? It's really, again, it's not something that a lot of people like to do. Hey, I'm going to go see a counselor, but maybe a little bit more now after the pandemic and people are more open to talking about mental health. But I think it's really important to monitor yourself. Listen to the people you trust. What are they saying to you? Are they noticing things? Are you sort of dismissing recommendations? I'm not going to do that. Forget it. Is your appetite going up? Is your appetite going down? Are you sleeping too much or are you not sleeping enough? Are you making some unhealthy choices for your, like say diet or drinking or drugs, or are you making choices that maybe you wouldn't have made before? Are you finding there's more conflict in your home? Are you more isolated? I think when you start to see these things and you start to hear it from other people, I think it is important to reach out. Okay? And of course, if you ever feel like you're going to harm yourself, 911, call somebody, right? We all have purpose, we all have value. And so if you ever feel, and even if you're not suicidal and you're just feeling like this is not going well, reach out to someone you trust, a clergy person, the grocery store person, the person you see at the dog park. Reach out to someone because there will be somebody there. Okay?
What if you feel there is no one to reach out to?
Oh, that's not the one I want, but we will talk about the importance of counseling. You know, what happens when you feel like you're just alone? And there are some things. Okay? Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we had to put our dog down in December of last year, and I'm still grieving over it.
Oh, absolutely. So our pets are also a source of support, right? And I think that they become members of our family and they love you unconditionally. And so even when we lose a family member like that, you feel a sense of loss because they offered you a lot of support. So what do we do? Now, managing emotions is easier to say and maybe not so easy to do, but there are some things that you can start thinking about. Let's start with the things that maybe you have a little bit of control over. Exercise. Hands down, it doesn't matter if you do 2 minutes a day. Exercise is hands down the best way to manage your emotions.
I try to do 2 to 2.5 hours, 5 nights a week on the treadmill.
Wow. Wow, that is fantastic. Yeah. And it just has a natural way of making you feel better. But exercise is important. Yoga, going for a walk, treadmill, on a bike. I'm trying to think of other machines that, what's that? Learning new things. Well, purpose is important, right? There's a quote by one of my most favorite people is Viktor Frankl. And for those of you who have worked with me will know I love Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. And he says, life is never unbearable by circumstance, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Find a purpose. What's your passion? What do you love? Those are the things you can do. You don't need a neurologist, a social worker, a psychologist to tell you that. What is your passion? What do you love? Maybe it's pets. Maybe you go to a humane society once a week and help clean the cat cage or whatever it is, or keep them company. So sleep, healthy diet, create or have a purpose. Spend time with family and friends, certain things to avoid. An important one is laughter. You got to laugh. And I have a few comics, so we will laugh. It is important to laugh. Sleep.
Wake up in the middle of the morning,
Yeah.
pee,
Yeah.
and then I go back to bed.
And you're wide awake.
And fall back asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then my mom wakes me up early. Well, not that early.
Yeah. So again, there are, yeah, not happy. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, our sleep gets interrupted for different reasons, and then we can't fall back to sleep. There are some really neat, it's called Yoga Nidra. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. I use it because I sometimes experience that as well. I'm not a big meditation person, but this really works. And it's a nighttime yoga ritual. And you just lay there and you just listen. And I found that it helps me go to sleep, but if I get up in the middle of the night and I can't go back to sleep, I put that back on again. And in 20 minutes, it helps me. So it's all about breathing. Yeah, just lie down. Yeah, try it. Yeah. And some other strategies, of course, are, yes.
Plus, it's also important to listen to your body. I mean, you sleep when you feel tired.
And the balance is, I agree with you. And the balance is you don't want to sleep too much.
Put an hour or you close your
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay to not feel guilty about sleeping.
Absolutely.
It's okay to do that.
Yes. And also it doesn't even, I think rest can mean turn off your tablet, turn off the TV, don't, or yeah, listen to some music or just turn off the world for 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour. Absolutely. You need to pace yourself. What's that? Read a book, listen to a podcast. So there's a lot of strategies. And of course, part of managing our emotions, good or bad, sometimes successful or not, we do need a professional team sometimes. We do need our psychologists, our occupational therapists, psychiatrists, I think I said that, rec therapist, pet therapy. I did add that in there. right? Because having a pet is important. So the importance of counseling and support. So we've identified that it's not easy, right? That sometimes we're isolated. Sometimes we feel like we're burdening our family. And counseling to me is sort of, this is the quote that signalizes what I think is important about counseling. We can't change the wind, but we can adjust the sails. You can't change MS, but what can you do? And counseling is important because I hope, anyway, if you do choose to go to counseling or support groups, it's about adjustment and acceptance. It's not about giving in. It's learning these strategies. It's learning to challenge those negative thoughts that creep in your head that says, this isn't working. You're not good enough. It's about how do I be happy? Right? In the face of all of this, what is going to make me happy? What's the purpose that I want in my life? Learning to live with uncertainty. And that's a hard one, yeah. Because we don't know minute by minute what it's going to be like. So how do you learn to kind of just stay where you are? How do we develop optimism? How do we find balance? Again, these emotions are, if they're too much to one end, they're not good. If you're always positive, it's not about rainbows. And, we always meet people who say, oh, don't worry, be happy.
Going back to the Inside Out,
Yes,
the theme of that movie.
absolutely.
You have to allow yourself to be sad.
Absolutely.
So that you can be.
That's right. And the reason why the little girl wasn't able to experience joy, remember that, was because joy wouldn't allow sadness to creep up. You have to watch the movie. It's really good. Inside Out. That's your homework. Inside Out. Movie night. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. Another really important part is learn to self-manage and advocate. You are your strongest advocate, if not somebody who loves you. You have a lot to manage. And if there's people out there who are willing to support you, but you will have to be your strongest advocate. Even in counseling, there's a lot of therapists you're going to come across if you want to go and start some counseling. Some of them will not know what MS is. But you may really like this person. You may have to do some teaching. And it's okay. It's okay. And we certainly want, and counseling is about improving the quality of our relationships. So different types of counseling. Can you see this little, I don't know if you can see, but I'll read it to you. So it's couples counseling, and the therapist says to the husband, that's precisely what we are talking about, Bob. You cannot simply play dead anytime Vera raises a difficult issue. Okay? Sometimes our family members may not be ready, but there's individual counseling, family, couples, all really important. Okay? Again, I know sometimes you may not be able to take your family member to the counseling session. That's okay. It's okay. They will come with you when they're ready. Support groups, fabulous. It's important to be part of a group, part of a community that you can share your ideas with, learn from each other. Okay? And I know that my MS family has some great support groups out there. Psychotherapeutic groups are a little bit different than just support groups in that they're a little bit more structured, there's more of an agenda, it's facilitated, it might have a particular focus. Like I do run groups at Toronto Rehab. One of them is a cognitive behavior therapy group, and it's just about managing emotions. And it's not only for people with MS, it goes across the entire program. Everyone has something in common. Managing emotions. Okay? Counseling, learning new skills takes time. Can we be patient with ourselves? So this guy goes to the doctor and says, I'm learning how to relax, doctor, but I want to relax better and faster. I want to be on the cutting edge of relaxation. It doesn't happen quickly. Think about how long it's taken you to get here. It will not take 1 week of counseling to change everything. Be patient with yourself. Be compassionate. Family members, give each other time and space. This one, I thought I'd throw it in. It makes no sense to worry about the future. By the time we get there, it's the past. And finally, another couples one that I love says, the husband says to the therapist, "My wife and I haven't spoken to each other in weeks. We both are trying to be better listeners." Okay. So when we look at interventions, there is a lot out there. Cognitive behavior therapy looks at how our thoughts impact our feelings, how our feelings impact our our behavior. It's about challenging the critical thinking. Mindfulness meditation. I know a lot of you have heard about mindfulness, and it's not just about breathing. It's really about learning to pay attention differently. I'm not doing all of these justice. Again, this could be another, hours. Dialectical behavior therapy is an interesting one because it's a kind of a combination of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and mindfulness. So it is about learning to regulate your emotions. There's a DBT, one of their sort of concepts is, on the one hand, you have something you can't change. So it's about acceptance. On the other hand, you say, so what do I do? So the beauty of DBT, it says, how do we live with these two opposing ideas? I have something I can't change, I accept, but what can I change? There's emotion-focused therapy. It says it all. It's really about it. To me, different therapies just have a different way of getting to the point. So emotion-focused therapy focuses on emotions, unresolved issues, unresolved conversations. There is relaxation. For people who don't like to generally talk, there is music therapy, there's art therapy, there's yoga, and there's more. There's acceptance and commitment therapy. There's trauma therapy. There's family systems therapy. There's a lot of interventions. But I think what's most important is finding someone you trust. We know that it was a study done a long time ago that they looked at the qualifications of the person, the way they did therapy, like what they were trained in, and the personality. And they found 60% of success came by not the credentials, but who that therapist was. If I always tell people, you're going to be sitting across from me for an hour. If all you're thinking about is how much you dislike me, tell me, I'm not your match. We got to find you somebody else. And that's okay. You got to find someone that you're comfortable with. It is all about match. So, of course, there are community resources. I won't go through all of them, but certainly I think these slides are available. I can give some handouts if people want to let me know. So there are places in the York region. There is also the York Region Psychotherapy and Counseling Service. There's York Family Services. There is the York Region Low Cost and OHIP Covered Services. Now this website, and I apologize, it's called the Scope Hub. And in fact, if you go onto that website, it will list a lot of the low cost OHIP funded counseling in the York region. Okay. One of the organizations that Peter and I met with for the Ontario Structured Psychotherapy, it's the CAMH resource material. Again, they do a lot of CBT work. Okay. There's the Canadian Mental Health Association. I did include Spinal Cord Injury Ontario for their regional workers. I have to tell you, I love this organization because what I can't finish with people, because they come, let's say for housing or finances, the regional workers from Toronto Rehab, the spinal cord injury workers, they will carry it on. And they've just been such a success. It's a great partnership.
How about the MS Society, Peter, that's high in regards to
Which one?
the MS Society.
The Toronto, Canada one or Canada?
MS Society, that Peter talks to.
Well, Well, unfortunately, I haven't, I didn't list them. Yeah, I will, I know he's being funny. Okay, so in a crisis, these resources here that are on the slides are all places that you can call in a heartbeat. Okay?
Or call Peter.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Or call Peter. My MS
Or call Peter. Yes, you can call Peter. I apologize also for the writing, but in summary, our emotions are meant to be felt, even the hard ones. It's okay to feel what you need to feel. There's more. Hold on. All the therapies, this is about you. And watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions.
Use your MS power, that's my
Yeah.
cognitive speaking. Is out of whack.
Well, watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Yeah. Happiness is letting go of what you think your life is supposed to look like and celebrate it for everything that it is. I wanted to share this one because it's one of my favorites. And it's an Ethiopian proverb that says, when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. MS is a lion. You cannot do this alone. And I think about my MS family, and they are connecting. They're creating a big spider web, you know, connecting to all of the professionals and so on. So to me, this speaks volumes to the complexity of MS because it can be a lion. You can't do it alone. Okay. And finally, never give up. I went quite long, and I apologize. If there's any questions or thoughts, it's been great. I mean, again, this is all dear to me. It's important. Our emotional well-being is important. You can't do it alone.
Oh, let's go back to MS and divorce.
MS and,
MS and divorce.
and divorce.
We all marry our match. I married a trophy wife, she marries a trophy husband. But when your match gets disabled, they're not a trophy anymore, so you start wondering.
Right.
And that might go for the woman too, they're not the trophy anymore, the man starts to wonder.
And I mean, I can't speak to your relationship, Costa, but if what brought you together was only to be each other's trophy, yeah, yeah. Again, couples are complicated. And what was happening prior to is probably more important than what's happening right now. And everybody's different. Yeah.
Now we compromise. I got MS, you might be 500 pounds. If you can live with MS, I can live with 500 pounds.
Well, you know, on that note, I think I'm going to stop there, Costa. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, I'm going to be here for the rest of the afternoon. If anyone has any questions for me, please feel free to pull me aside and chat. Yes, Sonia.
Thank you so much. We listened to so many speakers over the 25 years of my journey. And it's absolutely a pleasure to listen to the medical research and what the medical doctors and staff have to tell us. You are the first one over the years that I feel that you understand,
Thank you. Thank you.
that you understand us.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. You're lovely. Thank you. Yes.
You need a sociology degree to do what you're doing.
Well, I do have a bachelor's in movement therapy. I have a bachelor's in social work and a master's.
My daughter just graduated with a sociology degree. I'm just wondering what she's going to do.
It really depends on what her interest is. And for me, counseling and supporting people has always been a passion of mine. So it really depends on what she wants to do. Yeah. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Thank you. There you go.
Thank you so much, Brigitte. Now you understand why my MS family has formed an incredible relationship with Toronto Rehab, as well as with Brigitte, who is part of our My MS family, because we live by the name of our chapter, My MS family. As you described, we are building a huge spider web. And when we first started off years ago, our first initiative was to create the best partnerships that we can, and we have succeeded at. So thank you so much, Brigitte. Here's a little gift
Thank you.
that we have gotten
Thank
for
you so
you.
much.
You've touched the hearts of here, the ones in presence, as the ones on online with us. I hope that everybody truly took to heart what you had to say, because you did speak from the heart. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, Ivan, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Can I just leave them with?
Yeah, the question was, are the slides going to be available? We will put them on our website, mymsfamily.org. So we will have the presentation on the website, as well as if you have any questions, I'll forward you Bridget's email, and then you can have your own private conversations with that. Thank you so much. So we're going to take a 15-minute break for those here in the room, as well as those sitting in your homes. If you have to get refreshments, go to the bathroom, please do so. And we will be back in about 15 minutes. So that'll be right at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Check 1, 2.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. I just, hopefully everybody got time to get your refreshments and to just to rest and collect all the information from the first speaker, from Brigitt. Anyways, I'd like to introduce two incredible people of an organization in York Region called CHATS, Community and Home Assistance to Seniors. My MS family are creating a partnership with CHATS for a health and wellness programs for people not only with MS, but anyone who would like to socialize as well as to learn different things. And it's going to be located in Vaughan, Jane and Rutherford at their new office there. We had a nice visit of that place. It's an incredible, well laid out, easy access, as well as the programs that are available are very beneficial to the majority of the people that will be attending there. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to Hillary Richardson and Juanita Butler, sorry. So I'm going to pass over the mic to them. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Hi, everyone. It's really, really nice to be here. And Brigitt, I want to thank you for everything that you presented. All of the information you touched on really hit a chord for me. So I know that that it's really important that we keep talking about emotions. Yeah, whether they're up, whether they're down, whether they're sideways, they're really important in everything we do. So I thank you for bringing that forward. And it ties in a lot to what CHATS does, and in particular to where we want to go with my MS family. So today, and hi everybody out there online, make me look 30 pounds slimmer, please. So Juanita's going to tell you a little bit about her story. I'll tell you mine. I think some of you I've met, well, I know I've met some of you already. I have lupus, so I don't have MS, but I have lupus. It was a long time in the getting diagnosed. And at one point I was very debilitated and my quality of life was very, very poor. I worked hard with a specialist. I have a very supportive husband, thank goodness, and who did not leave. And we're a great team together to our two busy dogs. Yeah, and I'm now up. I was walking them in the forest this morning. So, I'm lucky. I'm one of the very lucky ones right now, but it can change. I know that any chronic illness is a journey. And CHATS is really, really pleased to be able to be participating in this journey with you. And the with you is a really important part of it. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the programs and services CHATS offers that you're all able to access if you need it. And then we're also going to talk about the program that we're going to develop together and hopefully start in September. And Juanita's going to do a lot of the talking. I'm going to step aside. Juanita's going to talk to you about the support that we provide to caregivers, because we have a formal caregiver support program that I think is a really, really important part of what CHATS does. And I think, from Brigitt's presentation to what we cover, I think you'll see that we look at everything very holistically. And I think it's a great partnership that we've got in the works here. So thank you, Peter, for finding us. and keeping us moving forward. You're a mover and a shaker. And I'm going to hand it over to Juanita, and then we'll get our presentation going. If you have questions along the way, please just put your hand up, and we're happy to answer them as we go, and there'll be time to have questions and some discussion at the end. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Hillary. Okay, my name is Juanita Butler. I'm a caregiver education counselor at CHATS. I too have 2 autoimmune diseases. I have fibromyalgia and diabetes, insulin dependent. So back in 2003, I was over 300 pounds. I lost my sight. I could not walk anymore. I had no use of any of my limbs. I had no idea what was going on, and my doctor kept saying, it's because you're overweight, go home. Go take some ibuprofen, go lie down, go exercise, go do all this stuff. So 2 years of that. And then in 2005, I fainted at York University. And then I ended up going to the hospital. And then a dermatologist also came in and noticed a lot of things with my skin. And he said, yeah, you have diabetes. So I went, a dermatologist just told me what I have. So, and then he set up all the tests, and that's how they figured it out. And then it was insulin dependent from that day forward. And of course, as you know, with an autoimmune condition, you get chain reaction to other autoimmune diseases that come. So I also have fibromyalgia. So you're dealing with it, but you know what? Every day is a new day, and you just keep moving forward, and you look at all the positive things life has to have. And that's I'm grateful every day that I get up in the morning. So yeah, and that's the way it should be. So we're going to start with chats. We're going to go into what we're going to discuss for our presentation. So we have intro to chats, chats programs and services, chats wellness framework. You're going to notice I'm going to say the word chats a lot. Wellness program design and co-design, and that's where the wonderful Hillary is going to take over about that. Fabulous boss, by the way, I have to tell you that. Brilliant, brilliant. We're going to talk about including the caregiver supports, our fit with MS Family, aligning with CHAT's strategic vision, and then we're going to have a Q&A and discussion portion. So it's a very short one, but we have a lot of information in our presentation. So the first one what is CHATS? I'm going to read this word for word because although I've been working there for almost 2 years, no, I have not memorized it. My memory sucks, as you know, with autoimmune. Yeah, it's a sieve. So if I'm not writing things down, forget about it. So CHATS is a not-for-profit community support agency providing programs and services to older adults and caregivers. Okay? Our vision: older adults live best at home and in their communities. Okay? How many of you have been on holiday and said to yourself, oh, I can't wait to get home? Because that's your sanctuary, right? That's where you belong. That's where you feel more comfortable. So we promote that at CHATS. We want to make sure the older adult is better living at home. Stay at home as long as you can.
What's an older adult?
55 and older. Yeah.
I need someone to bathe me. What's your lineup?
That's what we're gonna get into. You're gonna see all the services that we have, and you're gonna be very impressed.
We got pictures and everything?
Well, maybe not that far. And our mission is to advocate for and deliver high-quality, person-centered home and community services, providing dignity and choice for aging at home. Okay? I'd like to age at home. My mother is now 82. I live with her. She lives with me, actually. So she's got more energy than I do. If it wasn't for her, my life would never be the way it is today. And I mean that in a positive way. Yeah. She's been my best friend now. These are our borders. So CHATS is called Community and Home Assistance to Seniors. And this is our border. New Tecumseh, I can never say that, you know. New Tecumseh, Georgina, Bradford, West Gwillimbury, East Gwillimbury, Newmarket, Aurora, Richmond Hill, King, Vaughan, Markham, and Stouffville area.
You're York region.
Exactly. We're anything north of Steeles and south of South Simcoe. So we also handle the South Simcoe area, up in the South Simcoe area. It's a big area. So spread the word. I don't know if was there any talk about us expanding?
So we partner with people in Toronto. So if we have people who are outside of our area who would like services similar to ours, there are groups in Toronto that we can refer them to. And on occasion, we offer services. Now that we do virtual programming sometimes, we can include people who live outside of our catchment area. But generally, people are supposed to live in York Region or South Simcoe in order to be eligible for our services. But, and Juanita will probably tell you this in a minute, with regard to our transportation services, you have to live in York Region, but you don't have to stay in York Region. We do transportation to Toronto all the time. But we don't do airport drives, just in case you're wondering.
You don't do what?
Airport drives.
That's a best friend thing. That Seinfeld used to say. Okay, if you do have any questions, just belt it out, okay? Because I'm not one to see somebody's hand up, so just belt it out if you have any questions. Oh, yeah. So we have community support services, community transportation. So CHATS drivers escort clients to and from medical appointments, errands, shopping, if you have to go see somebody, that kind of thing, and to the CHATS programs as well. And a wheelchair accessible van is available in the Bradford and New South Simcoe, thank you. It's a wheelchair van. And a companion ride along as needed. So the companion comes out on the ride for free. So if you need to bring somebody with you, it's okay. The drive is a paid drive, but the companion goes along for free. Okay, we have Meals on Wheels, over 100 different types of things on the menu. Okay, and they all come frozen. It's just heat and serve. We also do dietary restrictions. If you have any dietary restrictions, we handle all of that, but it's 3 squares, snacks, and desserts. Okay, so we have all of that. The food is good. I've actually tried it. It is quite good. People are saying, yeah, whatever, it tastes like cardboard. No, it's actually really good. So, and they have excellent quality of food. Like, that's what I like about it. So it's very important. And it's not full of salt. People always think it is, but it's not. So yeah, see home-style nutritious meals delivered right to the door. We have contact-free delivery, meaning you don't have to really talk to somebody. They would deliver it to your door, talk to you from down the hall or whatever, just to be safe. So it's all good. We have that as well. And special dietary menu items. In-home safety services. We have in-home support services. So a home support worker help with light cleaning, laundry, getting things done, just like Costa said he would like to do, in meal preparation. Personal support worker assists with personal care needs such as bathing or toileting, dressing, things like that. There's a little lighthouse cleaning, yes, absolutely. So, and it really does, they're amazing staff, amazing people that go in and come and help, and they really care about the person. So always know you're in good hands. We also have Lifeline. It's a person, are you all familiar with Lifeline? What's the old saying on that commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up? That's Lifeline, yeah. So excellent opportunity. Should you need it, you're just a push button away from getting help at your door or a phone call. And they have these options that you can, if something happens to you, you can sign it up like somebody will contact your neighbor or a friend, or they'll come directly to your door or make a phone call, however you'd like to do it. But I'd contact CHATS and get more information about that if you're interested. I should have fixed this up. Social engagement. We have social wellness and diversity programs. There's a piece of paper 8.5 by 11. It says social and wellness programs. Yeah, you'll see it looks like that. This is our fact sheet. This gives all the information that you need to know about what kind of social services that we have there, our social and wellness programs. Okay, we gave you all a copy because we wanted you to have it in front of you to know exactly what we offer at CHATS for this program. So it promotes health and wellness and provides social engagement based on clients' needs. Okay, quite important. Participants meet new friends, learn and enjoy. We support engagement with peers and community, and we have virtual and in-person programs available. So you can sit in the comfort of your own home and still enjoy a wonderful program that we have online. So, or you can come in person. So we encourage that. People need people. Barbara Streisand, people need people, right? Visiting program. Volunteers provide weekly visits to clients. So I heard quite a bit while Brigitte was talking. I'm alone. CHATS promotes to not be alone. So if you find you're alone, we can partner you up with someone. Okay? You're never alone in chats. Absolutely not.
You're a dating service.
Totally up to you. Totally up to you. Did anybody online have a question? I heard somebody sort of say something online. No? Okay. We have in-person walk and talk or friendly visit. I actually did this once with one of my caregivers. We do a walk and talk, and we go and walk slowly around a park. And believe it or not, when you're walking, your endorphins start to flow, and then you want to talk more. You know, you get into the nature. We went to Rawlington's Park on Leslie. So, and we had a nice walk around, and this person hardly ever likes to talk. He's a one-worded kind of guy. But when he was out there and he was walking and he was getting into the fresh air and we were laughing, that's promoting him to talk. So he really divulged what he was feeling. So it's important. That's the walk and talk. Makes people feel more comfortable. You're not sitting right in front of them and talking to them, putting a light on them. You know, we just like to sit beside them and talk to them. Peace of mind for clients and caregivers, and a tablet loaner program available. Yeah, we do. We encourage you to be online. If you can't get online, can't come in person, we encourage you to go online. If you don't have the equipment to make that happen, we have a tablet loaner program. So all you have to do is call Chats Up, say, I don't have any technology and my phone is too small. So, and then we can get you a nice little tablet to help you get involved in all the online stuff that we have. We're not saying it's just devoted for the Chats programs, you know, because we also encourage you to do some research, find out some things that you need, some other areas that you can look into to help yourself. But we also encourage you to use it for our programs. Does anybody have any questions so far? We're good? Okay. Home Adaptation and Maintenance Program, called HAMP for short. So HAMP is following a free home safety assessment. We recommendations that are made to improve safety and quality of life. So we'll go into your home and see what we feel that you need to live better at home. Like, you know, handrails, stair lifts, the grab bars, ramps. So we go in and we tell you, okay, this is what you're going to need, you know, and we do an assessment. Okay? Maintenance services can include lawn cleanup, snow removal, and eavesdrop cleaning. Okay?
I'm just going to jump in. Very important. It's very important to note that the HAMP program, some of the services are only north of Davis Drive in Newmarket, but the snow removal is a special program that is in partnership with the city of Vaughan. So, and I know snow removal is a big deal, and that's definitely something that if you live in Vaughan, the HAMP program can help you with.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, take advantage of these things. A lot of people don't do that. You know, they feel that, oh, I don't want to go and get somebody to help. It's going to look right. No, I don't need help. Yes, we all need help. You know, you become a stronger person when you ask for help. You know, asking for help means you're stronger. Sitting there thinking that no one can, you don't need it, I don't want it, you start to lose who you are. But asking for help is you're bringing yourself out. And that's the smart way to do things. Ask for help. Then we have handyman services. We have odd jobs around the house that can be done. If your door handle is hanging or needs to be replaced, and hanging blinds, light bulbs need to be done, we do all that. Loose latches on cabinets, light bulbs. We hang pictures and moving small items. No, we're not going to rearrange your dryer, washer and dryer, you know, or put in a new dishwasher or anything like that. But we can do the light little things that you need. You know, the things that are just in the way or you're unable to do. Okay. Now I'm going to hand it over to Hillary, who's going to discuss Chat's wellness framework.
Thank you, ma'am. Can't even see the arrows. Okay. So I know one of the themes that we've been hearing Chats is community and home assistance to seniors. I want to be really, really clear that part of the reason we're partnering is because one of the things that we say, and you'll see it on your fact sheet, is or people with an age-related condition. So anyone who has a mobility challenge or a cognitive challenge is eligible for our services. So this is why the partnership is really, really valuable for my MS family folks. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So CHATS has been around since 1980. I don't know if everybody here was born before then. I was. And we started out with a group of volunteers in and around Aurora who just recognized that people needed help with certain things and they needed engagement. And sure enough, now 40 some years later, we're still here and we're doing a lot of things that are volunteer based, like the visiting programs. And some of our social and wellness programming are done by volunteers. But we also have a really dedicated staff team that leads us even more programs than what Juanita's talked to you about. Some of you visited our adult day program in Vaughan, and I know someone said they live across from near the Richmond Hill one. That was you. You do. Sorry. It's easy to make me dizzy. Both of those are adult day programs. So what we're going to talk about today is a wellness program, and this wellness framework is what forms the basis of not just our wellness programs, but everything we do at CHATS. And the wellness framework is important. There's a diagram of it there in front of you. And this was developed, actually, we adapted it from something that the province of Alberta did quite a while ago. I forget what the date of that was, but you can see that around the outside, there are some systemic factors. And I can't read that far away, so I'm going to have to look at this one. So there are partnerships, like the one we're working on now. There are health determinants. There are population health strategies that are implemented by our municipalities, by the province. And there's also workplace and education. So all of these things are part of the system that is kind of greater than us, but that sometimes we hope we can influence it a little bit. But they all form the structure for all of the programs and services that we can offer. When CHATS offers its programs, we like to keep, if you look at the flower, there are some outer petals. These are sort of the concepts that are behind everything we try to do. And you see at the very top, there's dignity. So the goal of all of our programs and services is to help people live with dignity in their own homes for as long as they want to and in the way they want to. You'll also see there's choice and independence. And what Juanita was saying about asking for help is actually part of being independent. But being able to choose how you get that help is also an important thing. So we really recognize the importance of people working with their care partners to help decide how they want to receive help. What services and supports are important to them. Participation, so being engaged like you all are today, but goes even above that or deeper than that into the difference between feeling isolated and lonely and feeling like you belong somewhere. So we really, really hope to bring that sense of belonging to people. Of course, there's ethics and customer service. We like to try and make sure that we that we work together with people and do things the way they want, like you receive the services that are right for you. You receive, like when we develop our wellness program, it'll be something that works, that you help us design. We'll give you the basic parameters, the what we can and what we can't do, and you'll say, well, I like these things and I don't like those things, and we build it together so that everybody gets something out of it. Diversity, we want to, and this, you are also part of our diversity because we've never worked with a specific population like my MS family before. Up until now, diversity at CHATS has meant cultural diversity. But my sense today is that there is a culture in this room. So this is a different kind of cultural diversity. And we're really excited, and you'll see a little farther along about our strategic priority, is to deepen our work in that respect. And safety. Of course, we want to improve everyone's safety in the home. That's why we have things like Lifeline. But also we make sure that we offer our programs and services in a way that is safe. And so those are kind of the concepts in the outer petals. Then if you look in the inner petals, those are the actual programs and services, the guidelines for our programs and services. So we've got engaging with life. That's making sure you're doing something. And I think both Brigitt and Juanita have spoken to the importance of that. And I know you're aware of that. Managing chronic conditions, how appropriate would that be for this group? I think, most people, as you get older, something changes. And most people have something chronic that they have to work with. And so that is a great fit also. Optimizing your mental and physical functioning. You may not function like you did 10 years ago or 40 years ago, but you're still functioning. So what can we do to make that the best it can possibly be? To focus on what's important to you. So I may think you need to be able to walk a mile. You may not care if you walk a mile, but you want to be able to do the crossword. So we focus on what you want to do. That's really important to chat. Supporting the health and wellness of caregivers. So Juanita is going to come up and talk more about that, but it's very, very important to us. We recognize that in the healthcare system today, caregivers really, and I forget the stat because I am really not a numbers person, but caregivers they're counted upon by the healthcare system to do a large portion of the day-to-day care for patients. So we know from working with caregivers, and you probably know yourselves, that can take a toll. It's hard work and it doesn't go away. Even if you want to do it and love the person you're doing it for, it's still hard. So we acknowledge that and have lots of different supports to help with that. And then promoting help and preventing disease and injury also all fits in with our programming. So those are the key elements of the wellness program. And if you go online and look at CHAT's website, we've pulled out the programs that we felt would be most relevant to you today. But if you look at everything that CHATS has to offer, you'll see that it all fits into this wellness framework in some way. So it's really an important thing for us to follow. Our wellness program design, as I said, it's really important to us that we use a co-design model. So I'm not just going to come and say, well, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to come and sit down with a group. We're going to work together and find out what's important to you. And we already had a meeting in Vaughan at the site there. And the things that I heard there are that you want something that is above all social. So you're already tuned into that engagement piece. You also mentioned anxiety. And so that's also something that we can build into, is looking at how can we support mental health. CHATS is not a mental health agency, but we do promote mental well-being and we have supports for that. And we also have lots of friends who we refer people to for people who really need something that's more therapeutic. But from our wellness program design, that's definitely something that I have clients who started with us and they were taking 9 different medications for depression and they couldn't sleep. All they wanted to do was sleep, but they couldn't sleep. They were crying all the time. And then they joined a program and within a couple of months, they're off their medications and they're feeling great and they're part of something and they belong. So this sense of belonging and being part of something is really, really important. And it can change the chemistry that's happening in your brain. Don't ask me how though, because I'm not sciencey. We'll ask Brigitt that. So the things that we typically include are things like a social part, some gentle exercise, if that's what the group wants. It can be, I see you scowling. It can be, just moving. It could be stretching, could be yoga, it could be aerobics. It depends what the group wants and what stage you're at. And we have, our staff are trained to identify the goals of the group and create something that everyone wants to participate in. Different activities, we can do crafts, we can have speakers come in, we can play games. We have a lot of our groups are wanting to do trivia right now, and it gets people's brains working and they like it, and they problem solve together. They come up with the answers together. We have teams now. We have a trivia program that is online. We have a chats team, and then we work with different groups that come in and we play as teams trivia. So there's a lot of value in that kind of camaraderie and the little bit of the brain teasing that happens. So where do we do all this? Well, some of you have been and seen the community room, so the community room at our center in Vaughan, but also places like this. Actually, I don't know if it was this exact room, but we used to run a program here at Velour Village for people who were non-English speaking, but it was a wellness program, and it was a fun program because nobody spoke the same language. So we had to do a lot of things. We did art. We communicated in different ways, and we did that here at Velour Village. We do it in churches, the United Church in Richmond Hill. We have a Russian program there, community centers, pretty much anywhere we can get space, we can do it, as long as it's accessible and safe, and usually we need a little kitchen. I'm not used to having a clicker. So the formal eligibility, I won't stick too much with that because you've got it in front of you. The only thing that is important is that you do need to be a resident of either South Simcoe or York Region, which I think you all are. You need to be, so here we've said, able to independently tend to your personal needs. I've also put a little note in Burgundy that for this program, we're going to be bringing in a personal support worker, a PSW, so that if you need a little support, we'll have someone there who can help you. And that's something else that I will say about our programs is that because they're usually for people who are aging and we've been around for so long, we have some people who've been in our programs from their 50s and they're now in their 70s and 80s. And so they change over time. And we don't say just because you can't do this by yourself anymore, you can't come. We figure out a way that they can still come to the group that they call their community where they feel they belong. And that usually means that they come with their own caregiver. So it could be a family member or it could be someone, a PSW. But we do have people who still continue to come even after their health changes and they may not be as independent as they used to be. So it's not a hard and fast rule. There's kind of an it depends. And we really try to include everybody. This is important. Because our wellness programs are not in secure facilities, we have to make sure that everybody's safe. So if you have a cognitive impairment you might have dementia, you might want to wander, there's a lot of that happens as cognitive changes occur, then you wouldn't be eligible because we can't keep track of you. We'll have one staff person, and there may be, in some of our programs, we have 70 people. So that staff person can't keep track of where everybody is, literally. You need to be mentally and physically stable and able to engage appropriately in a social setting. So everybody here can come, I think.
With a doctor's note.
With a doctor's note, yeah. So including the caregiver, I'm going to send this over to Juanita now. She's going to talk about it because this is the piece that Juanita does exclusively at Chats. And I will say that she's also a caregiver to a lot of her teammates and folks, the staff at Chats too. So Juanita's got a ton of experience with this, and we were really, really lucky to find her. So she called me the best boss. I got to say that. She also provides us an awful lot. Good value for money.
She's the sweetest, I swear to God. Okay, so as I said earlier, I'm a caregiver education counselor, and I'm going to start with, thank you. I'm going to start with, nobody in their life has ever said, I want to be a caregiver when I grow up. because that's not something that you think about. It's something that you fall into. So, and as a caregiver, we all in this room has been a caregiver at some point or another, because you either are a father or a mother to your children. That's caregiving. If you haven't any children but have pets, that's caregiving. You know, you're always caregiving for your neighbor, for your friend, for your cousin. It's in you to be a caregiver. What is not in you to be a full-time caregiver. That makes it very difficult. Okay. So there's what we call burnout. Okay? And although I've been working for CHATS for almost close to 2 years, I've been counseling for over 25. So I've seen this burnout quite a bit. Okay. So we include the caregiver. So you get respite, time for yourself to do errands. And what they mean by respite is, say, for instance, the caregiver is getting, oh my goodness, I need a break. You give CHATS a call. You pick a day that you're interested in taking a day for yourself or a couple of days, and you discuss it with CHATS. They do a little assessment, find out what your routine is, and then you're able to leave your care recipient for a short time so that you can breathe, so that you can do what you want to do, so that you can get away. And that's the most important, is that you need to refresh yourself, balance yourself, so you could do a better job with your care recipient. Okay? And that's the most important. Access caregiver supports. We also have that. We have one-to-one counseling. Myself and then another lady named Alexis, she does the North York region and I do the South York region. So, and we do one-on-one counseling either in person or by telephone or even on virtual, Zoom or Teams. We have support groups. Right now, we are currently slow in the support group area because of COVID. It really killed off a lot of face-to-face. So we're trying to bring it all back. We've got a whole bunch of new ideas with the help of Hillary. We're going to put it all together and hopefully getting it all started up in September. But we did a men's group recently. It was very successful. We did a paint night, very successful in the men's group. So, and now we're going to have a women's paint night at the end of July. So there's a lot of things that not only just to come in, yes, we do encourage people to talk and be together and be emotional with each other and learn from each other and laugh, but we also want them to get their mind off of being a caregiver. Give them a break. Get them out there to do something, to think, because they do remember to think, and then get them active in doing things away from their care recipient so they can have some time for themselves, even if it's just for 2 hours. Makes a big difference. We also have information and education programs. Did you have a question?
Yeah, you said a men's group and a women's group. Why can't they be co-ed?
Oh, no, we do them both. We do them both. Yes, we just started this men's group. I don't know if you've ever heard of the men's cave, is it? Men's, ours is men's den, but the biggest one is men's cave. Men's shed, right? So it's the men's shed, and it's a lot of men that get together. You don't have to be a caregiver to join that group, but we thought, oh, you know what would be great if we can get the men together to be on their own, because I did find, being in the counseling field, that men have a difficult time really speaking about what's going on in front of women. I don't know whether they're shy or whatever, but when I finally got this group together, that was the one thing that they said, is that they feel more comfortable talking with each other with men around than just women. You know, and one even said, no, the next group we're going to meet, there's going to be no women, right? I said, well, I'm considered a woman, but but he said, yeah, but you're different. I'm like, oh, okay, all right then. But he said it felt more comfortable. So we're trying to encourage that. So yeah, and then the women found out about the men's group, and then they're like, well, can we have a women's paint night? And I said, yes, of course, we can have a women's paint night. So we're going to have one at the end of July. That's not going to be an ongoing group, but this men's den will be. Okay. We also have information and education sessions. We have a wonderful course called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. It's 6 weeks, 1 hour a week for 6 weeks. It's free, and you are provided all the information and these wonderful, magnificent tools on how to be a caregiver. Not only to be a caregiver, but how to self-care. And that's very important too. How to take care of yourself while you're taking care of a care recipient. Very important. Living life to the fullest, same thing. It allows you to understand what you are all about. Taking care of you. And then self-care and caregivers, including the energy budget. We're working on that right now. It's a program called the Energy Budget. It's going to be a course that we're going to do for 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, so it's in the planning. It's in the design and planning stage right now, but it's called the Energy Budget. I would like you to remember that, because I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. It's about how you can really take care of your energy It's, I don't know, are you familiar with the spoons theory? Yeah, that's where that derives from, the spoons theory. But we're going to do it in a much better way. Okay. We have access to other supports, as mentioned. Okay. We improved quality of life, new connections, personal fulfillment. Life is not just about being a caregiver. It's about being more than just a caregiver. And then improved well-being. So we're going to take care of all of that. We're going to help you and guide you to be that person you want to be, that you're not going to devote 100% of everything into being a caregiver, because there's you too. Okay. So I'm going to, any questions about being that, about any of that stuff? Because there's a whole lot of information about that, right? I don't want to put any of you to sleep. So I'm going to hand you back over to Hillary.
And when we talk about the energy budget, that's what I was thinking of, Brigitte, during part of your presentation, talking to our families about that concept, because I think, and I was realizing that that is one thing that my sisters don't quite understand about me, is that I budget my energy very carefully. I have to plan really carefully where my greatest expenditures are going to be. And if just coming here on a Saturday for me, I had to make sure that I had the energy to do all the stuff I had to do first, and still have energy to come here and be myself. And so to do that, I needed to take a bit of a break yesterday. And so it's planning, and my people around you may not recognize that you have to do that. It's a lot of mental work just to do that. And that mental work is exhausting all by itself. And so I think that's an important part of what we communicate. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to communicate it to my sisters, but it is important. And you made me think of that. So I really appreciate that. Caregiver 101. So Juanita's holding this up. We do have a little handbook for caregivers called Caregiver 101. It's filled with tips, information, things you can talk about with your medical, your healthcare team. And we also have it online as a flip book on our website. So we have a few here today. If you want to pick one up, you're very welcome to it. If you want one, another, if we run out, we can always get more. I know Peter knows where to find us. So please pick up one of these if you want to. Do you want one, Randy? There you go. And the flip book online, even I like to use it, and I don't really like online stuff, but it's fun. It makes a noise when you turn the page. So it's quite engaging. So hopefully you enjoy that. So as part of the work that we're going to do with my MS family, we want to very much include the caregivers. So whether that means bringing caregivers into another caregiver support program or creating one just for you, either way is something that we want to make sure we include. So when we pull together our group to create our program, we make sure that there are some caregivers on it. Yeah. Okay. So strategic fit. So I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, but CHATS has strategic priorities, and they're usually, as an agency, they last between 1 and 4 years. We've just renewed them and refreshed them, and working with my MS family is something that fits very, very well with where CHATS is aiming right now. One of the priorities is to evolve programs and services to enable older adults, I would just put individuals, to age with dignity at home and in our communities. So the evolution, this is part of that evolution of deepening the populations that we're working with, of working with them maybe in different ways, but making sure that we're still meeting the needs of the community. So it's a very, very good fit for that. It takes us even farther in our wellness journey with the communities we serve. The next priority is to lead as a system partner, innovator, connector, collaborator, and champion to improve the care experiences of older adults. And so again, this partnership enriches CHATS presence. We're expanding our community, and as part of the work the caregiver team is doing, we're also expanding the linkages that we have with the healthcare system. And so building those into the resources that my MS family already has is right in line with where CHATS wants to be. So this is a very important thing from the CHATS perspective that we do. So we're very committed. I want to assure you of that, just in case you wondered. Here's the potential partnership impact for us and for you, I think, is just recognize the interconnectedness of aging and MS. We're not getting any younger, whether we're an Olympic athlete with no physical problems or whether we have a condition that impacts us. Identify shared values. I can feel in the room that we have shared values. And I think that's really important. And maybe we need to figure out exactly what those are and how we want to express those in the work we do together. Expand our resources. So now Brigitt's going to add chats to her program. I'm going to add the stuff Brigitt's got on hers, and then that spreads the web, the spider web, even further. Understand and respond to population needs. The needs are important, but also the wants. It's recognizing that people are unique. People, they might need something, but if they don't want it to be delivered in a certain way, then they're going to decline it. So how do we figure out how to meet people's needs in a way that they want? And also, how do we just help people feel fulfilled as humans? Not just as a human who has MS or a human who's a caregiver, but just as yourself. So really connecting to that identity as self. And of course, acknowledging and supporting the caregivers. And this is my third activity that I've done with my MS family, and I see the same caregivers and the same people at all of them. So I already have huge respect for all of you in this room, and I'm really excited to be building something with you. That's the cutest slide I could find. That makes me sad. Luckily, Juanita's here to put her humorous anecdotes in. So that's the presentation that we have for you today. I'm really thrilled to take any questions or have a discussion with you. We began a discussion in Vaughan. I don't remember the date of that. Did I write it down? June 1st. It's a long time ago. Yes, Brigitte. HAMP. Yes. So it does and it doesn't. So everything that CHATS does, almost everything, is funded by Ontario Health. And Home and Community Care, which has now changed its name again. Yeah, it used to be CCAC. Home and Community Care provides specific services, and CHATS provides services that we're not funded by CCAC. Our services are outside of those. But where we see that people could be served by CCAC, we refer them there because those are the services that are free. Chat services are not, our caregiver services are free, our visiting services are free, but HAMP operates on a subsidy. You do a financial assessment, so you pay as you can for it. Now, I need to make sure you recognize HAMP it's a great program. Not all of the services are available everywhere in our region. But any kind of home assessment where you might need to put in a grab bar or any of those mobility supports, that's available everywhere. And we use our partners that work throughout the region. So we don't put in the things, we connect to people who put them in. And again, at the subsidized rates.
At the beginning, you said that this CHATS is a not-for-profit
Yes.
organization? Okay. What does that mean exactly?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because when I called, it's going to cost me $30 a day just to go there for the day, plus my ride.
To go to, oh, yes, because you were looking at the, oh, yes, the
Whatever
adult
it
day
is, I mean,
program.
Chats, if it's not for profit, I want to know why the charges are
So-
so high.
Well, so if you think about the cost, so we still have to pay the staff, we have to have a building, we have to have all the safety equipment, we feed you, we have PSWs on site. At the adult day programs, there are five clients to one staff. So it's just the cost, it's basically our cost to run the program.
It seemed a little high for
Yeah.
$30 for the day.
I think you should come to the wellness program. And we're gonna, it won't be that high. The fees for the wellness program, we have special events sometimes that, like at the holidays, we might have a dinner that would be $25. But our day-to-day program is based on supporting the costs. And the wellness program has one staff person and provides either a snack or a lunch, depending on the timing.
So what is the
So-
difference between the wellness program and the other?
So the adult day programs are for people who are physically and or cognitively quite frail. So, and they may not be able to engage as fully on their own. They need help to engage. But if you're here today. I don't know who brought you or who you're with. You're with your dear friend. So I feel like you both would be welcome at the wellness program. There's nothing that would prevent you from being in a wellness program, which is something that is designed and it's something, that's the thing we're going to work on today
So if I want
and
more
going forward.
information on the wellness program, I just call Chats?
I think for now we talk to Peter because we're working on building the one that will be in Vaughan. But we do have other wellness programs and we have online programs as well, if you're interested in those.
Thank you.
It's the membership fee, Mary. If you want to go to the pool, it's $30. If you want to go to the gym, it's $10.
Yeah, it's really, not-for-profit means that we don't have a big bank account that we shove money into because after we pay our expenses, we have leftovers. We don't have that much left over.
Okay, that explains my
Yep.
question. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Any idea when the one in Vaughan will be ready, that wellness program?
Well, I think that's what one of the things that we're hoping to do. I know we've got a small group at Chats pulled together and it's summertime, so it's kind of hard to get people together, but we're looking for, I know Brigitt's gonna join us and Peter and Juanita and myself and my boss and a couple other people at Chats. And oh my God, I know it starts with S. Your name? Sabrina. Sabrina wants to join us. So, I think, Peter, I need your help in figuring out who your team is. But we're looking at having a team of people who represent everybody. And then we talk about the structure, the timing. I know that it has to be after 10 and before 4, which is fine. That
I
works.
sent out that original email shortly after we had that tour. We had 23 people saying I want to be part of it.
Beautiful.
And I know that when we spoke, we want to keep it around 20, just easier to manage.
Yeah.
And all of them have said that they could manage between 11 a.m. to 2 or 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And there's some wait for PSWs.
Yeah. I think we were looking at kind of a 1 to 3 sort of thing. Yeah. And as I said earlier, with the social being the main thing and then some learning, but not necessarily studying kind of learning, just new information and engaging learning. Like hopefully what today is. Yes. New Horizons. That's Canadian, that's national. Yep.
Would that be something that Chats would be able to apply for?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so New Horizons is usually the up to $25,000 is to help you buy stuff. And we don't, yeah, you can do some programs with it. I don't know that we need money. I I think we'll come up with a pretty reasonable thing. Yeah. It's not going to be $30. It might be $5. Yeah. Yeah. It will more or less be, if you decide you want a full lunch, it'll be more expensive. If you decide you want little snacks, it'll be less expensive. It's really as simple as that. And I know we have some discussions to have about other, how we cover any other costs. And I don't expect to be passing costs like the PSW on to the people who are coming.
So someone that's interested in calling a child member.
Yeah.
Are you assigned case, like to go to an intake, case coordinator, like how do you fit?
So it depends what you call and ask for.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, thank you. So she's asked a really good question. When you call chats, are you assigned a caseworker or an intake coordinator? So the people who answer your phone when you call chats are called service coordinators, and they'll help figure out what it is you're looking for. You may know when you call already. If it's transportation, they're going to want you to have a drive that you already need because they need something to put in their system. So they don't like it if you call and say, can you put me in your system just in case I want to drive? Because then it's just a person in the system, and if you never call them, then we have to take you out 5 years from now when the data coordinator gets upset. So they're going to want you to have a drive. And then you say, so I'm going on July 25th to Sunnybrook or to West Park for an appointment at this time in this place. It's me and my caregiver, and they'll put that in the system and they'll call. So then they'll do an intake. Yes, for sure. Yeah. And we prioritize medical drives. So if you've got a medical appointment, they're definitely going to do that if they possibly can. We, like everywhere in the healthcare system, we're challenged to meet the needs that are out there. So we can't do 100% of the drives, but we work very hard to do anything medical, and especially if it's a specialist. Yeah. Yes.
How is transportation charged by mileage or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And only the coordinators can tell you. They have some formula they use. I don't know what it is. Yes.
Yeah, I live in Peel region. They don't have a chats program, unfortunately.
No.
But you talk about a teaming up with my MS family with chats.
Yeah.
Wouldn't my MS family have a certain code where they call you like Mary? It's not Mary. You don't have to pay $30. It's covered by my MS family.
So you
Like,
know
what's this
what? That's
partnership?
something I don't know if we haven't talked about that.
So what is the partnership?
It's not out of the question. I'm not a big enough boss to be able to say if we can do that. But to me, that sounds like something that could be reasonable. But that doesn't mean we can get a driver to your house to take you to Toronto.
I think my MS family is going to give you funds that you're saying you got a partnership. Are those funds going towards my MS family members? Or is that funds going for all of York region?
No, it has to. Well, first of all, we haven't talked about funds. So I don't know the answer to that.
So what's the partnership?
Good question.
The partnership is this, is creating a program for people who have MS and their caregivers. That's the partnership, using the resources that CHATS has.
Which involves money.
No, it doesn't. It's part of what we do. So you don't have to pay us to develop a program. You just pay us the cost of coming to the program. That's all. But if you're participating in other programs, you do need to live in York Region. The concept of being able to participate, for example, in an online wellness program, if you live in Peel, I don't see any problem with that because it's virtual. There are no boundaries.
So my parents are elderly. They live in Peel.
Yeah.
My dad had a stroke. He has a caregiver that comes and bathes him down.
Yeah.
But it's all covered through whatever Peel has.
It's all through Ontario Health. That's all through your OHIP card.
If this person is supposed to be there like maybe for an hour, she gets paid for.
Yeah.
She's only there for 2 seconds to spray down and leave. It's
This-
like, no, she's supposed to be there for an hour. Get her to clean the house or something.
So that's a common
I'm just saying.
common thing that comes forward everywhere. And it's definitely outside of the scope of my position,
Very common.
but
Some
it's
of them don't
very
even show up.
common. And they, you know, you have a care plan with them. And so they're doing what's on the care plan. And usually when they're done what's on the care plan, then they go because they have however many other people they also have to do. And they count to a certain extent, they have to include travel in that time.
Everything's budgeted. No one does anything for free.
No, I know.
That's all I'm saying.
I know. Yes, Louise.
Can you explain a little bit better snow removal thing? Is that on city sidewalk? That's not personal, that's not.
So that's a good question, but I believe it is personal, like it's your personal driveway and walkway. I believe, don't quote me.
Can I answer
Because I
that?
looked into that once and with the city of Vaughan.
Yep.
And they said it was for seniors, that they would do that, and anyway, I looked into it, and they said absolutely not. It's only the sidewalk.
Okay, so I just want to repeat the question for the people online. Sorry. The question was, with the snow removal in Vaughan, does it include your sidewalk, your walkway, your driveway? And my understanding is that it includes all of that. But it, again, not my department. I will double check with my colleague Gaynor or Mark and find out from them. And I can connect back with you if you have email. Yeah, or I can connect back with Peter.
I know for the city of Richmond Hill, they do the entire driveway, you have to register with the city of Richmond
Yeah.
Hill. As long as you have any kind of debilitating
Yeah.
disease, they do the sidewalk, driveway, and the boulevard.
Yeah, so don't forget, the city of Vaughan is a big place with a lot of people working there. They might not all know about the partnership with Chats. So you might just not have got the right person, but I think, and I don't know if the intake for that program is through, I doubt that it's through the city of Vaughan. I think you need to call Chats. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'll get back to Peter. Will you write that down, Juanita? Yeah. Okay, good. Lots of great questions. Thank you. Anybody else? So next steps from my perspective, what time is it? It's 3:00. Next steps from my perspective, and Peter, please jump in, is we pull our group together. I think if you have 23 people who want to be part of that, I feel like then we need to get a group that's just to do that, and we meet maybe in the room at the ADP, and we just kind of hammer out what you want in your program. And then we can have Rosa there, who's going to be the coordinator for it. And does that make sense, Peter?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be a continuation of the original meeting that we had
Yeah.
at your office.
Yeah.
I'll send out an email to our membership asking, okay, if you're going to a day program, to a wellness program, what would you expect from them? What would you expect to improve your daily life?
Maybe we can create the questions together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, some of you may be more comfortable, might be more appropriate in a day program. If you need more care, more supports, then that might be the spot for you. But I think if I think this wellness program is a great opportunity to just come and engage socially. It's easygoing. You get to contribute to making it. It becomes like a little community. I know you have a big community. We talked about it having a maximum of 15 people. So it's just an opportunity to try something else, and I think it's a really good one. And Chats is in it because that's what we do, and we're expanding to a new population. That's you guys.
Chat sounds like a good dating app. Like you guys.
I know.
Advance it to like widows.
Chit chats.
Widows and singles that are
Yeah.
disabled to meet each other.
Well, if you come to the program, you'll meet people.
Chats.
Okay, so that's all I have. Juanita, anything else? No? Okay. Oh, Randy says yes.
Randy,
Van uses for transportation. She's taking them to North General.
Yes,
Neighbors.
Toronto.
It's pretty close. Anyhow, she does have at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Sunny. Signal, sorry.
So the question is about transportation.
Yes.
And what's your question? That's a good question. I think they have to be kind of home by 7. So, but if your appointment's at 3:00, you're fine. I know that. As long, yeah. So just call and get it booked. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you all for having us, and so nice. I think we're, making some beautiful music together,
thank you.
and really appreciate meeting you and seeing faces that I've met before and went on the tour with. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Hillary and Juanita. We have some gifts for you. Juanita, this is yours.
Oh, thank you.
Hillary, that's yours. And one extra, I know there was a couple questions from Costa about the costs and for Mary too. We like to present to you a check for $1,000. So, you're very welcome. That's from the members of my MS family with the fundraising that we do, the ongoing fundraising, and this is a good way of starting our partnership and use that to benefit the people, as well as once our program gets up and going, we can use that towards it to cover some of the costs. And I know some of our members, for some of us, $20 is not that big of a deal, but for others it will be, and we can put it towards that.
Yeah.
But that's just the first of a few more coming. Okay, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. This is why we're forming a partnership with Chats, and it's going to be a long partnership, and I hope you don't get tired of us. We definitely will not get tired of you. And, Hillary came on that tour with us. It was a pleasure having her when we went to West Park. She saw the other side of what we do as well, and she was very impressed as we were. And we'll have a couple more tours, and we'd love to have Chats come along with us and everything we do. And as you know, that we have spoken briefly about setting up York Region's very first rehab center at Cartalucci Hospital. With our meetings, we would love to have Chats as part of that committee so that we can get it going. We have several meetings that we're trying to establish with Cartalucci and with the MPs and MPPs. And we will have Chats as part of that to, get our point across.
Yeah. I think we have some really great things in common, including some of the people we know. And that really helps move things forward. So I'm really hopeful that we can contribute to your efforts and you contribute to our efforts and we make some beautiful things together. Yeah, I think it'll be great. So thank you all. Really nice to be here.
I know, me too, fidgeting. I can't sit still.